America is not a racist country.
Ladies and gentlemen, the police are losing so many officers and they're struggling real bad to replace them. So more are leaving than being hired. And we know this has been going on for quite some time, but it's actually getting worse. This came out in the Wall Street Journal, January 27th, 2022. I'm going to go ahead and play the audio to this article.
Police departments are losing officers and struggling to replace them. Amid a tight labor market, rising crime rates, and growing public scrutiny of law enforcement, many departments say they are short-staffed. By Chris Marr, photographs by Derek Montgomery for the Wall Street Journal. January 27, 2022, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Columbus, Wisconsin, a city of about 5,500 people between Madison and Milwaukee, lost 3 members of its 9-person police force last year. Unable to find replacements, Chief Dennis Weiner has taken on extra duties, including working a patrol shift on Thanksgiving Day. It has really just been a terrible struggle trying to fill vacancies, said Mr. Weiner of his efforts since one officer started a painting business, another took a maintenance job at a distribution center, and a third began studying to become an accountant. Across the country, police chiefs say they are struggling to keep departments fully staffed as resignations increase and hiring gets tougher in a tight labor market. At the same time, officers describe the job as more stressful and less rewarding than it was in the past. As a result, the chiefs say departments are taking longer to respond to some calls while crimes, including homicide, are on the rise nationwide. A survey of nearly 200 police departments last year by the Police Executive Research Forum, a Washington, D.C. think tank, found that the resignation rate per 100 officers was up 18% between April 2020 and March 2021 compared with the prior year period, while the rate of retirements rose 45%. The number of police officers employed nationally dipped 1.6% in 2020 after rising over the past decade, according to the most recent data available from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The average annual pay for police officers was $70,000 in 2020, compared with $56,000 for all workers. In Minneapolis, where former police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of murdering George Floyd, and voters in November voted down a ballot measure to replace the police department with a new public safety department, more than 300 officers have taken medical leave or retired since early 2020, when the police department had 860 officers. Last year, record numbers of workers quit their jobs across a range of industries, while job openings remained well above pre-pandemic levels. Many employers are increasing wages and offering bonuses to new hires, enticing more people to switch jobs. There are now more job openings available to police officers in other fields with similar or higher pay that require less physical risk and stress, said Risden Slate, a professor of criminology at Florida Southern College. Those jobs don't require putting your life on the line, he said. I think it makes it more difficult to find recruits these days. Some officers say they soured on the job after some police budgets were cut in the midst of defund the police movements that were supported by Black Lives Matter protesters. Others said that after high-profile deaths of Black men at the hands of police in recent years, interactions with community members became more confrontational. John La Valley, a former police officer in Green Bay, Wisconsin, said he was regularly called a Nazi and white supremacist while on patrol and eventually became suicidal. He quit in 2017 and worked for a time as a freight conductor for a railroad. I just lost the mental capacity, not only to handle and mitigate the violence that you see, but this perception of constant negativity, he said. Some cities, including New York and Los Angeles, have increased police funding in response to rising crime. Officials in Burlington, Vermont, after voting in 2020 to cut the police force by 30%, in September approved $10,000 bonuses to retained officers. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office in Washington spent $200,000 on recruitment efforts last year, including advertising a $15,000 bonus on billboards in cities where Sheriff Ozzie Nesovich said he felt elected officials weren't adequately supporting law enforcement. Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Austin, Texas, Denver, and other parts of Colorado, and Times Square in New York. He hired 30 officers and new recruits, including one from as far away as South Carolina. That was still 10 short of his goal, and he now has 210 sworn officers and 50 open positions. Mr. Nezevich attributes the profession's hiring woes to negative perceptions of policing, combined with a wave of retirements on aging officers and the tight labor market. Republican lawmakers in Wisconsin recently introduced bills that would fund a $1 million marketing campaign and bonuses in the thousands of dollars for officers to stay on the job or move from a different state. Police departments in the state currently employ 13,500 police officers, the lowest number in a decade. Britt Kudabak, a spokeswoman for Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, a Democrat, said he is reviewing the measures. The law enforcement profession received a ton of very negative media coverage after the horrific events in Minneapolis, and that led to, in my opinion, dramatically affecting our recruitment and retention, said Pat Mitchell, president of the Wisconsin Chiefs of Police Association. He said he believed the legislative proposals could help recruitment efforts. His department in West Allis, just outside Milwaukee, currently has 126 officers and 4 vacancies, for which he has received 17 applicants. 5 years ago he would have had 50 people apply, he said. Joy Koegi once thought she would retire after a long career in law enforcement, but last year she quit her police department in northern Wisconsin after 15 years. A photograph she posted that showed her walking away from her uniform was shared thousands of times on Facebook. As a detective sergeant who worked on sensitive crimes cases involving sexual assault and elder abuse, which she said eventually wore her down. Then working from home during the pandemic motivated her to try something new. I got that taste of really being my own boss, said Ms. Koegi. She now works as a real estate agent, started a photography business, and is remodeling camper vans with her boyfriend. Leaving law enforcement saved my life, she said. Write to Chris Marr at chris.marr@ws.
All right, y'all. So you see a lot of these cops that not only are they leaving, they're switching professions. Well, hey, look like they are suffering from the long-term effects of Derek Chauvin. Y'all already had a bad reputation long before that happened. You never had a good reputation in the Black community, well, except for somebody like Candace Owens, and thank goodness those people like her in the minority within our community. So, look, if you got a bad reputation, nobody did that but you. You know, I guess they can't recruit enough people that are willing to shoot Black people unarmed, huh? Interesting. Y'all were grabbing up them jobs at once upon a time. You still out there shooting us unarmed, and you always will down to your last breath. But I tell you what, it is refreshing to see this. It is. It means that a job that y'all were so proud of once upon a time, people ain't so proud anymore. They're not. And obviously, people are running from this type of profession for a living. Being a killer for a living, I guess, is undesirable now, you know? And if they are out here saving lives, just let me know how many they saved in the Black community. Don't just tell us stuff like that. And we see it very few of it out here. We definitely see more killing than saving when it comes down to the US police. But y'all, please tell me what you think about this story where they're leaving in droves and very few are applying for these jobs. Oh, boo hoo. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.